There we are. All right, fantastic. Yeah, we are going live now on Facebook. And good morning, everybody. My name is Susan Johnson, Susan Johnson and Associates, and this is our week 7 of For the Love of Real Estate. And I'm super excited because I have a special guest with us today. You've probably seen all the promotion and everything. I have Mike Bjorkman from Team Bjorkman out in Santa Clarita. There he is.
Morning.
And Mike, it's so great to have you. I got to tell everybody a little bit about you. I'm sure a lot of people already know, but just in case they don't, you just have, of course, a wealth of knowledge behind you, and been in business as an agent since 1991. You're also a broker now, closed over 4,500 real estate transactions. And you also have a property management company. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Fantastic. So anyway, he's not only a broker, a real estate agent, a property manager, but he also is a national speaker, a business coach, and and a trainer, and has a wonderful course called Agent Mechanics. I've been having some of my agents look at as well, Mike. Your Team Bjorkman, is consistently closes over 200 transactions out in Santa Clarita per year. So I can't wait to hear more about that. And I know you have a real specialty of a great mindset, your scripts, and also just how to thrive in any real estate market. So I wanted you today, as my guest, because we just have so much to talk about. And when Mike came on, everybody, and we started talking, he said, well, anything you want to talk about. I mean, there's so many things I can have him talk about. But what I decided today to just do talk about some team building, because it seems to be, something that comes up a lot, even when we're meeting with, solo agents who are, kind of on that brink of maybe they're doing 8-10 million in production. They're just getting really busy and find themselves, starting to lose either time in their day or time with their family. And, something is going to crack if they don't start to leverage and maybe build a team. So I really wanted to get into that, Mike, with you. So welcome today. Great having you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your current team, your team structure, and we'll dive in deep. How's that?
I'm trying to get your live on so I can see any questions too.
Yeah, I got to tell you, so Brent Conley and Jesse Zagorski got me, doing this here about 7 weeks ago, which I'm really super excited for because we get so many people messaging about it, and we've got a pretty darn good following now. But that's one thing I have difficulty seeing myself.
I thought it was going live on your business page, and you're going live personal, just so
it's on my personal page. Yeah, it's on my personal page. So I don't see it yet. I'm sure it is. I've got the live feed.
Yeah, you got 12 people watching, so let's dive in.
All right, let's dive in because they'll be coming, I'm sure. So let's dive in, Mike.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. And thank you for that really nice introduction. That was very sweet of you. So all those things are true, and we juggle quite a bit. Right now, I'm really focused on coaching and coaching some of the top teams in the nation. And it's no secret, we're both with the EXP, which is an amazing organization. And because of our collaboration and the culture of our company, that's why we do these things and help each other out. And I talk a lot about, not necessarily when I coach teams that are not with the EXP, but teams that are with the EXP is the really important part that I wanted to talk about. The reasons we want to build a team is really simple. We can't do this all alone. Real estate, there's a lot of people that say, hey, Mike, I'm fine doing one deal a month. And I'm like, okay, let's think about that, right? So let's say your average commission is $10,000 and your overhead's 50%. And what is that really truly going to add up to be, right? At the end of the day, net on your tax return, you're making less money than most people that, just have a normal, I don't even know how to say it the right way, PC, but it's not a lot of money. It's not a really good lifestyle, especially here in Southern California, right? And so they say, I don't want a team. And I say, well, there's a couple things you have to look at. First of all, teams are not always the same. Don't say you don't want a team because you don't want 16 buyer's agents, the traditional team that we see in real estate.
Right.
When I coach, and when I say I coach some of the top teams, these teams are a little different than you think. I have a team right now that has 3 or 4 or 5 listing agents now, and 1 team leader that only works with buyers in their sphere. I have a team that I coach that has no buyer's agents and 2 showing agents and 3 admin, which are transaction coordinator, marketing coordinator, and kind of a runner or a personal assistant. So teams are all different, so I like to start out by saying that we can talk in the traditional sense of a team, but the reality is the reason people don't want to build teams is they're kind of control freaks. They don't feel they don't feel that they're good leaders. They don't feel they bring enough value to the transaction. They go, hey, I'm still learning myself. A lot of my clients right now are like, hey, Mike, I've never even been through recession. I've never done a short sale. I don't know anything about REO. Just don't know a lot of things. And I'm like, well, that's okay. You can learn. All you have to have is the drive to learn, and you have to have the confidence in yourself and the passion within you to say, I want to grow my business, but there's so many important things I've learned, and I got into business in 1991, built my first team in 1996, but the lessons I've learned over the years are so crucial. And I think through this COVID thing, what we learned the most is we really do appreciate time with our friends. We really do appreciate time with our family. We really do appreciate having meals with our family and our friends and getting some time off. Most of the agents that I coach right now, they're like me. They're so afraid to lose out on opportunity. And we're talking about hustlers, right? Hustlers that really want to get out there and do something. When COVID started, I was so scared to lose out on opportunity that I put everything into the next gear, and I just went full throttle. And I said, I got to emerge as a leader. So my wife started saying, listen, like, it's 9:00 at night. Are you going to come to bed, or are you going to stop working? You've been going since 6 a.m. and you didn't even shower today after your workout. You've just been going full steam ahead. What it made me realize is, wow, this is what normal real estate agents do on a day-to-day basis. So it's no wonder we have the second highest divorce rate in all industries next to lawyers. And it's no wonder we burn out. And it's no wonder we have all these high cases of domestic violence in our industry and all this crazy stuff, right? So I just say, listen, there's days off are a must. You have to spend time with your friends and family. And I teach a lot about the 7 F's. And if you guys go to my podcast or YouTube channel, you can hear all about that, but it's all about life balance. So what I want to stress on right now is do the things you love only, right? So if you love listings, just do listings. If you love buyers, just love on your buyers. If you love working out of your database and referring everything out, which a lot of agents are doing these days, which is mind blowing to me, but it's working better than ever.
Yeah, there's a referral-based business that's huge just right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. It started like 10 years ago, and the agents were finding out like, hey, I can buy these leads and just divvy them out for referrals. And Mike Ferry started talking like this back in the day. He's like, you shouldn't work with a buyer, so just refer a buyer out and collect half. So that started catching on after a while, and it was really interesting to watch. And now we have OpCity and HomeLight and these massive call centers. All they're doing is producing leads, because we know if almost 100% of all of the buyers start out online, and they typically go with the first or second person they talk to, that's a great business too. But I think most agents that are really in this business for a long haul, they're very relationship based. They love their sphere of influence. They love their past clients. And as I've been in the business now 30 years, what I'm finding out is all my friends' pipelines are dying out. They're like me. I started 30 years ago. My past clients and my sphere of influence is half dead or half retired, half moved away, half, not in real estate or in homes or something. So luckily for me, I figured out a long time ago that I need to be working on my sphere of influence and my friends and family and keep that database alive and keep that really going. Meanwhile, I need a team to be filling my pipeline so I can bring in new sphere of influence and new past clients. Because
I agree. Sorry, not to cut you off there, but when you actually get into a point, because I know so many agents who really need to hear this message today. I speak with them quite frequently, and they're not looking quite yet to build, like you said in the beginning, a team of 16 buyers agents. But I got to tell you, I mean, by default, back in 2003 is when I started first building my first team, and their teams were just not really around so much so. And the brokerage I was with the traditional brokerage who really didn't support the team model, which we didn't even really know was a team model at the time. But it comes to a point, like I mentioned, a tipping point where, you know, you if you're doing your consistent lead generation activity, be it farming, calling, whatever your activity you're doing, you're getting so busy in your business that you know, you've got a lot of buyers or seller leads that you cannot possibly stay on top with without something else giving up. That's time with your family, or, you know, your kids, your, you know, your health, you know, something's going to crack. And sadly, you know, when I teach classes, I share, I'm very authentic. I say, you know, you're going to hear my wins and you're going to hear my losses just the same. And, you know, within 3 years on my own agent business, it grew to the top agent in Southwest Riverside County for this brokerage. I'm not saying that to do this. It was great. I did great farming and work, but the problem is nobody trained me how to run the business as a business and how to leverage. And it wasn't until I finally brought up my first administrative assistant. So it wasn't even having a buyer's agent. And so for people listening to this, I share these stories to see if you can relate in your own business. But maybe it's just bringing on an admin so you can get a lot of that stuff off your plate, and then you can truly focus on, lead generation, going on listing presentations, and negotiating your contracts, and everything else is kind of being leveraged out. And then you can build from there. So in terms of structuring a team, you know, there's, like you said, many different models, but it can literally be, you know, just starting off, hiring an admin, and maybe, you know, just, you know, a marketing. Now marketing is huge, a marketing specialist. Would those be the first, maybe your first 2 hires you would recommend?
Yeah, if you want to get into team structure, and again, I've coached so many teams and I know it works, right? And this is the very first thing that you need to do. And I don't necessarily like the word admin. I do like the word personal assistant, right? So an admin, that could be anything, and it could be your personal assistant, but I like the word personal assistant because they take care of your personal stuff. Now, the first thing I do with the new client is I sit them down and I say, let's go over yesterday. What'd you do? Well, I took the kids to school, and then I went to drop off the dry cleaning, and then I did this and that. So it turns out that every realtor or person has a couple hours of day of personal errands. But then they have another hour or so of personal things that didn't get done because they were too busy, right?
Right.
So every time I convince somebody to hire a personal assistant, their business doubles, right? Like you literally sit around and go, okay, I can't do anything anymore that's not, you know, money making activities. So, all right. And now I'm paying this personal assistant. So what are you going to do every day, right? So you start saying, okay, dry cleaning, get my lunch, take the kids to school if that's your thing, whatever your thing is, right? And there's tons of things that you don't think of. Return my sweater that I got for Christmas, and like all these things. So it's really important to say, okay, let's clear out all your personal junk that doesn't have to do with business. After that's set aside, then you write a list of things that aren't business related or related to, or not personally related to business, that you can pay somebody 15, 20 bucks an hour to do. What does that entail? Upload photos to the MLS, scan things, just weird things like that. But your personal assistant now turns into your admin. So that word kind of comes back into play. And that's your very first person. And people say, well, what about the paperwork? The paperwork is what I love about technology is you can have a transaction coordinator anywhere pretty much in the state or anywhere in the world, as long as they know the rules of the transactions and laws in your state and city or whatever. So to me, the transaction coordinator is non-negotiable. That's just part of the business. Pay the 350 bucks to 500 bucks, whatever it is per deal. That's just part of it. And when I charge a transaction fee, and when I coach my clients to charge a transaction fee, the buyer or seller pays it, and that money truly goes to the transaction coordinator. It makes sense, right? It's not a hard thing to explain. It's not a hard thing to pass off. And, you know, 95% of the time, the buyer and seller understand it. So that's free. A transaction coordinator should be free. Then you have your personal assistant. And if you freaking don't like showing homes, stop doing it, right? Because that's the problem. And I always said that, well, if you're in control as an agent, you should be able to set appointments at any time with the buyers when you want. That's not true. They work 9 to 5. They can see homes at night and on weekends when I should be home, right? So then your admin / personal assistant also can show property. They're just highly paid door openers, right? So this one person can do an awful lot for you. So that's where I coach some of the teams that have a personal assistant and then a admin or a runner, and then they have still separate transaction coordinators. That is the best way to start a team. That doesn't involve spending 10 grand a month in realtor.com leads. It doesn't involve, running this huge team of buyers agents. It just leaves you free to do what you want. If you want to sell 100 homes a year, you have to talk to 50 people a day. That's the simple formula. I've time tested it and proven it forever. 50 people a day. But it's hard to talk to 50 people a day when you're running around doing your errands or if you're uploading photos. So it's that simple to talk about a team. And there's plenty of teams.
So for structure, when somebody's just starting, like I said, you're very good. You say either admin or you call them a personal assistant, executive assistant, somebody that's going to take off your plate, those actual other items to get you back in your wheelhouse and your strength. I also think that teams have become really popular because there are some amazing agents out there that maybe I don't know if I like the word hunter, but are not as strong in their lead generation. It's just not their thing. And yet they get a buyer, with them, and they're phenomenal at, showing the properties and, getting, taking them through the transaction and, wrapping that warm blanket around them. And so the formation of teams, I think, has been ideal because it allows agents to, at any level. I mean, I know teams, and yours is one of them, that have, 10 buyers agents on the team. And every one of them are $10 million plus producers on their own, but they join the team for the collaboration, for the fact that they can do what they're best at and do that multiple times versus trying to do it all.
Right. Imagine for a minute, if you will, if you walked into your doctor's office.
Yeah.
And the doctor saw, hi, fill out this form. Do you have your insurance card? Fill out all this paperwork. Let me take your blood pressure, Your doctor would literally spend an hour and a half with you personally. No, you go in, there's all types of admin, and you sit there until the doctor's ready for you. And you're paying hundreds of dollars an hour for that 5 minutes with that very special person. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the lawyer. The lawyer's not typing up paperwork and all that. They're strategizing. They're doing all sorts of things in their mind. Well, don't forget, we get paid as much money as a doctor or lawyer. We are just as professional. If you know your craft and you know your skill, you are paid at least $500 an hour in the normal world of real estate. You can't be doing stupid things if you're making that kind of money. Nobody wants you to be doing, like, I'll go up against agents all the time and I'll say, has anybody explained the team approach to you? And they go, no, the agents I hired seem to do everything. I go, fantastic. Let me ask you a question. If you hire me to put your home on the market and sell it for top dollar in the fastest amount of time for the highest price, here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to market, I'm going to negotiate, I'm going to talk to agents, I'm going to do everything that it takes to get this home sold. If you hire agent B, the agent that does everything by themselves, they're going to be scanning, uploading, driving around, showing other homes to buyers, all this stuff. And I say, do you want somebody that's going to spend 8 hours a day working in their business and not doing anything to get your home sold? Or do you want somebody who's focused entirely on systems and procedures, trying to get your home sold super fast and set records in the neighborhood so the neighbors will call them next? Like, do you see the difference in why a team is so important? Half the time, I smoke everybody in listing presentation just because of that. And if you don't have a team built already, it's simple. You have escrow, title,
you'll have a team.
You still have a team, so you can still use that script if you want to. But the reality is us as agents, we shouldn't be doing that. You got to let it go because you can't sell 50 homes a year by yourself. The ROI is terrible. The thing that you said is paramount. Leads are falling through the cracks. Yes. If you're doing everything yourself, you're not answering your phone. You're not. And half of those calls are sign calls. The other half are potential buyers and sellers. right? Aside from the spam calls. And you're not answering them, and they're not leaving voicemails. Nobody leaves freaking voicemails anymore. That's why I love call action. If you were on the coaching call last Monday with Jesse from Call Action, you know when it's a sign call, right? You have a special number for very important things. Not to go off on that tangent, but
Right.
you can't let all this stuff fall through the cracks, and you're going to do a crappy job. And there's people that do things like, let's be honest, not all, most realtors are not paperwork people. They're salespeople. They're not organized.
Well, that's why I like to bring it back to, we don't know though. We don't know what we don't know. And the fact is, when you're just starting as an agent, you could be in business 5 years, who knows? But you've been working very hard. You've been doing what you were trained to do, which is all your lead generation, your farm, your calling, whatever you're doing. Your business is growing. It's growing very rapidly. Sometimes faster than you even expected it to grow. I got to tell you, my first year in the business, had anybody told me where my business was going to go, I almost probably wouldn't have believed it because I didn't get it. I didn't understand. And yet at the same time, if you don't leverage off, I keep bringing this back because there was an agent when I was the team leader at KW, and she came in, she's a great agent. I tried to bring her over to KW for a couple of years, actually. She finally came in, and she came in she's very, very positive. Sit down as I started drilling down her business, within about 30 minutes, there's just the tears were streaming down her face. She was on the treadmill, that treadmill that we get on, that you just can't stop. You're getting so much business coming your way, which is a great problem to have. And yet you can't say no because they're usually referrals, or, you're doing well and you don't want to say no, you can't take them out, but your time is starting to go like this. And without somebody really helping you with the structure, and Mike, I fumbled along, and I've got a lot of other friends that have done the same thing. Back in 2003, nobody was teaching us about this team structure. We were just I went with girlfriends, would be at happy hour with napkins trying to figure out, what do we do? How do we incorporate our business? How do we bring on an administrative assistant? What does the pay scale look like? What are their tasks they need to do? And now we've got people like yourself, myself, that really can actually help to guide these agents step by step. And I think you're right in the beginning when a lot of people think that to have a team, you have 20 people on your team because they see all the big mega agents with all these 100 people on their team. That's not the case. A team can start basic so that you're leveraged, so that your business can scale, and you can scale it up year over year and duplicate it and grow with it. So I start with something called the DISC assessment when I'm trying to find talent. So, there is a special DISC for, a DISC is a behavioral style, a personality style. And I know you talk about this a lot, Mike, so I wanted to have you kind of hone in on that. For different roles on your team. So for your executive assistant or personal assistant, there's a certain behavioral style. For your buyer specialist, there's a behavioral style that we look for. And it's not that we can all do whatever we want to do. The question is, what are we going to do that we're going to actually enjoy doing and do at peak performance level? And we want to attract that person into that role, and they're going to love what they're doing. I mean, my son Wesley, for example, he always jokes. He says, Mom, I don't know how you were in business for 18 years before I joined your team. He's so technology driven, and he loves it. He loves being on the phones. That's just not my thing. I'm out with the people. So tell me how you feel about the DISC, and if you execute that for your first hires.
And absolutely. And you're giving me anxiety because I'm thinking about all my clients. And before we jump into the DISC, let me just, this is the life cycle of the real estate agent. You get in the business, you start doing good. You start doing a deal a week, maybe a deal every other week. And you don't want to hire anybody because you don't have time. And now you're up at midnight and putting your listings in the MLS, and you start to think about, I really can't, or I don't want to do this anymore. And what happens is, as realtors, we're high I's and D's for the most part. And I just want to disclose up front, any personality can be a great realtor if adapted and trained, or built the team around their personality style. So the problem is, most of us, we hire people like us because we're high D's, we want other high D's. We're high I's, we want other high I's. That's where we get into trouble, right? That's where we get into huge trouble. When I was brand new in the business, a guy named Frank hired me to be his transaction coordinator, and I was fired within a week. because I don't know paperwork. I don't like paperwork. So the DISC assessment is very important. And I always say, buy every book Tony Alessandra makes, because he has all these books, The Platinum Rule, manipulative selling, all these different stuff for personality styles, how to get what you want from who you want, why they want to give it to you. But let's just use DISC because everybody knows that. A high D is not going to sit there and love on people and nurture them through an escrow and just hold their hand and cry with them. You need the C and the S for that, right? The S is going to hold their hand and understand, and they're very slow to make decisions. They don't like change. They like organizational skills. So these people are very good for being personal assistants. They're very good for being receptionists. They're very good for being transaction coordinators. These are the people that'll save your butt, like big time, right? They also can be very high level producers, but they're the ones that are going to have to train a lot harder, and it doesn't come naturally to them to be good real estate. I mean, they're better than we'll ever be, but they can only do 1 or 2 deals at a time, right? Because they're so worried about organization and crossing the T's and dotting the I's and all that. So the bottom line is you got to really test the person and see exactly where they fit in the personality world. High I is the absolute worst person to hire for organizational skills and paperwork. Yeah. And we're clearly high eyes, right? Look at me, look at my new car, look at my expensive purse, look at this, and I'm the best, and I have the best this, and you and I will fight over who's talking because we want to be in the limelight, right? The whole thing, right? So it's really hard, but you put a stack of paperwork in front of us and we're just like, we'll learn it in the beginning because we're so excited. Yeah. But I mean, I remember doing deals back in the 90s where I'd forget to order termite inspections, no home warranties. I wouldn't even fill out a TDS, transfer disclosure statement, because I was so busy and, before I had assistants, and I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. So the DISC test is probably the most important thing when hiring. And it's kind of a rule for me. If they don't fit in up front, that's it. I'll hire them for whatever position they fit in, but I'm not going to bend the rules, right? Because I have the time, energy, effort, or money to have them trained to adapt. Like, you could probably train me over years and years to program a computer, but I want somebody who can program a computer now. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem also with that, Mike, and this is why I brought up the DISC. So, and I think maybe next week I might do just a kind of a version, because I teach the DISC behavioral training, and the problem is you can train anybody for anything. If somebody says, I absolutely want to be, an admin or a TC, and that's what I want to do, and their DISC is, high I, probably not a good fit. And the problem is they can do it for a short period of time, but again, they're not going to find their joy there. And they're going to burn out because it's not what they're naturally. So the DISC, for those people who don't, I think a lot of people do know what it is, but if you don't, it's going to show you and teach you not only about yourself and your own behavioral styles, but it's going to help you understand others. So when you're building a team, having a well-rounded, I call having 4 wheels on a car, you want those behavioral styles to all be, in their right spot on the, to be able to make the team to work and function. So a high I, for example, and a buyer, let's talk about the buyer specialist now. So you can bring in an administrative assistants or, executive systems, personal assistants to do your administrative work and everything else. And now if you're a listing agent, you're doing a lot of listings, you may want to bring on some buyer specialists, or in my case, I use Commissions Inc. And do you use Commissions Inc., KV Core? We have with our company.
We use Ylopo with FirePoint.
Ylopo, okay.
I had Sync. This is my last month of Sync. I've had it for 5 years.
Yeah, I kind of want to merge it over to our KV Core. But so we've got a lot of buyer leads coming in. So we have to find the right people who, again, fit the personality style on the DISC that will be phenomenal buyers agents that love what they do. And when they do that, they'll close a lot more transactions. So so a high I, for example, our biggest fear is rejection. So if you get a SI, as a buyer specialist, and they're making calls, their fear of rejection. And I feel a good way to overcome that. And please jump in and add more would be, really helping in their skill set and training them what to say. And then their confidence comes up and they're back in their wheelhouse again. Is that a good?
Yeah, a high I is the most easy to train person there is, because they don't want to lose. So they will for sure learn. Like if you gave me an agent and give them to me for a week, I'll teach them all the scripts, all the dialogues, all the objections in the first couple days, and then I force them on the phone. 20 calls the first day, 50 calls the next day, 100 the next, up to 200 calls a day. That person is now comfortable, confident, and a rock star on the phone. And that's a really good person to have. Problem is they hate it. So they get a couple deals and they'll go nurture those transactions. And it's kind of like when we talk about an ISA, and we should probably talk about a standard team at some point. An ISA, they don't want to be in the limelight, right? They're a C and an S. They have to be analytical because they have to organize a database, and an S because they got to sit behind a desk and they have to be, real even keel. They have to be super humble, so those are the people that are ISAs, and those ISAs have to hand off the hot ones to the high I's, because those are the ones that are going to go out and close them, right?
So that's a great point, because, and that's where Wesley is. He's the S, he's the CS. So again, in recapping, the admin, or I keep saying admin, but personal assistant, whatever you want to call your first hire. And then, if you bring in any buyer specialist, you want to do their disc assessment on that. And I might send some people your way. I do the training and stuff myself, but hey, let's talk about leverage. You may get 3 people coming your way the next week.
Well, I'm here to support you. So
I know you are, and I love it. So that's
the reality is that let's just break this down in baby steps. So let's say you're an agent. Who cares what your personality style is? You're doing pretty good. You're ready to start a team, and you hire that personal assistant. Well, when you hire a personal assistant, you're going to hire them a C and an S, right? You have to, because they have to be the organized, the humble, the calculated, the person that gets crap done and follows checklists and all that stuff. And then the reality is as you're getting into this, your assistant can answer your phone, can call people back, and they're the ISA. They enter people into your database. They schedule tasks for you. They keep you on task. So these personal assistants, kind of like my favorite movie ever was that one, what's her name? God, I can't remember the dude that flies in the thing, the little red-headed assistant that he had.
I'm thinking.
Whatever, somebody watching it live, tell us what that is.
If you see my head turned sideways, I've got the Facebook live streaming. There's some people asking some questions. So if that's why my head's turned sideways, I'm replying to what they're saying.
Anyway, so we go back to starting off, and that's why you hire a personal assistant. That's why you hire people based on their personality style. So let's say you're an agent and you're ready to build a buyer's agent team, a traditional team that most people think and picture in their head. Well, that's fine and dandy, right? Which is awesome, but that's a different type of team that you need to be mentally and financially prepared for, and to have the staff to support that, right? So I'm running 10 agents right now, and I just rebuilt a fresh team, and half of them are brand new, and they're awesome, but they do take a lot of time, effort, and money, right? So somebody has to train them. So I have an amazing agent, my lead agent, Larry. He trains them, holds them accountable, does their daily huddles, does their daily role play, and he's creating these really cool agents, and it's really fun to watch them blossom. Every afternoon they have to get on the Marco Polo app with me and tell me what they've done, and I help them with their challenges and whatnot. But it's neat to see them emerge, because I like hiring newer agents because it's kind of simple for me to train them, and they don't have bad habits. And that's when you start talking about, okay, should we have ISA? What programs should we have? Those types of things. And those are the most fun teams to run. I like it because you can work 9 to 5 for reals. And if you get a good enough team, you don't ever even have to list a home again. All you have to do is make sure your wallet's full so you can afford the pipeline, right? And then you just have to be a good skill set manager so you can teach them, conversion, online conversion, in-person conversion, open house training, those types of things. And that's where the coaching in me really likes to take over, so I can coach the team. And I like to get to practice what I preach. So I'm saying, okay, this is what we're doing. So if it doesn't work, I'm not going to tell somebody else to do it, right? So
Right.
everything that
I'm very much the same way on that.
everything that I teach is kind of like, I have to be doing it. I practice what I preach. And I think that's why so many people love to be coached by like club wealth coaches, because they're actually in the game, right?
Yeah.
They're not a coach that, let's be honest, most coaches are agents that got up to like 40 or 50 deals a year. And they just said, this sucks. This is too much work. And they're usually not high eyes, or they're super high eyes, and they get out of the business and they just kind of coach. Well, if you're not in the business, it's hard. So building these teams in these modern days is really challenging. So we got to know at all times what the best technology is, what the best CRMs are, what the best lead gen is, what the best coaching programs are. All these things come into play. But I highly recommend immediately hiring a buyer's agent. I think day one, an agent in the business can hire a buyer's agent, somebody that's maybe even been in the business 3-4 times longer than them.
Well, that's why I brought up the people that, because there's an agent, especially through COVID, that said, well, gosh, maybe I'll go apply for a job someplace and there, and I'm like, wait a minute. Look at the team option, because, don't worry about splits. It's all about your volume and what you net to your bottom line. And I show them the difference. They're not having to put the capital out to get lead generation, all that. The leads are coming in and they're able to just focus on what they do best and close more transactions. So a buyer specialist, if somebody's out there and they're struggling along, they may, want to contact us, or maybe if it's not right for my team or your team, or we can refer them and somebody else might be able to be, hiring people on their teams. But it really allows, agents, again, to do what they do best. So we have a buyer's agent. We've got possibly an ISA. I don't want to get too much into the ISA yet, because, again, I think there's people that are just starting teams that they'll have to kind of work up to that, that ISA. Having an ISA as a team leader, hiring somebody on. Listing specialist, another way to go. What about your marketing specialist? Nowadays, people are hiring somebody totally separate than,
Right.
the executive system, to just be a marketing specialist.
Honestly, that's the best teams that I coach right now. They have one personal assistant, one admin, and one marketing specialist, right? That's the most profitable team I've been seeing right now too. So I have a wonderful marketing specialist that works for me. Her name's Deanna. She's worked for me for 10 years. And it's amazing as a real estate agent how you can't do all this, right? So you have a Facebook business page. You have a Facebook business page with your name. You have your Facebook personal. You have your LinkedIn business page, your LinkedIn personal. You have your Twitter. You have your Instagram business. You have your Instagram name. You have your Instagram personal.
Now, YouTube.
Yeah. Now you jump into things like that. You have your YouTube, and then you have your website, for God's sakes. You have landing pages. You have the ads and the boost.
You're making my head spin off already. So marketing assistant. But Mike, I got to tell you, I need one myself. Where do we find a really great marketing assistant? It's not like they're, how do you find somebody that's talented?
That's so nice about living in this generation. Our children have been doing what we need them to do for years. So you disc test the marketing person and you say, show me that you can build a landing page. Show me you know how to use spreadsheets, and show me you know how to use social media. Show me all this stuff so I can look at that and say, this is what I need. Because it's amazing. Like my son Andy, who doesn't like real estate but likes owning a video company, I watch his social media and I'm like, dude, I just want him to do that for my real estate stuff, right? And these kids have 20, 30, 50,000 followers, and they're influencers in their own right. And they can actually sell off their Instagram. They can do all kinds of neat stuff. And it's just what we need to do. We just don't have time to do it. So finding the person, and it's hard. Like I've always hired a marketing person that says, I want you to build me a website and I want you to do my marketing. And I hope Deanna's not watching actually, because it took me a long time to build her a marketing mind. Like she had more of a technical side. And then some of the marketing wasn't as like real estate driven. So over the years, she's gotten really, really, really good at, trying to understand how my personality and my theme goes out to the public. and it still knows the technical side, but it's kind of funny. And this is the best way to explain it. So picture your graphic artist, right? They are amazing at graphic design and they can design this beautiful flyer, but that person sucks at building a website. Technologically and creatively do not go together. Those are two separate people. Although us as high eyes, we say, why can't you design it and post it?
Yeah.
Their brains don't work like that. So it's like,
well, that's where I would recommend things like KV course, again, depending upon the budget, we have to talk about budget and where somebody is in their business. So when you get to that, like I mentioned in the very beginning of the conversation, 8-10 million in production, you're starting to wear out. You just can't jump right in and hire 10 people, to do all these different things, but you can hire one at a time to take a little off your plate. And I think marketing nowadays, I know, goodness, and I mean, there's people that are 10 million times better than I am at that, and I'm learning myself, but I just really need to leverage that. And so finding the talent, and finding somebody to do that kind of thing. And then, do you structure pay? If I can talk briefly on that, are these usually like per transaction? Are they salaried? Are they, how does that work typically?
Well, I took some notes, or you gave me some notes actually, that I don't want to screw up. So my preference in the beginning was to pay per file, right? So my very first transaction coordinator / assistant / admin, I was only selling 1 or 2 homes a month. And I said, listen, Wendy, I'll pay you $1,000 per file. No big deal. I was making $5 or $6 grand a deal. Well, a year later, she's making 150 grand a year because I'm selling 150 homes a year, right?
Yeah.
So that's not good. So salary is usually better with the small bonus. So like transaction coordinators typically get, $25 an hour plus maybe a couple $100 per file. A personal assistant might make $25 an hour, a couple hundred, all that sort of stuff. And then it depends on where you're at, obviously. Right. I was talking to somebody today in a 250 price range, and it's much different for an ISA or an assistant in those areas. I like showing agents, right, for splits. And I do have 10 buyers agents that are on very high splits, but or very low splits, I should say. But that's why I like showing agents. For $20 a showing, you can have somebody open a door for you and keep 95% of your pay or more than that. So it gets a little crazy on pay, but the typical admin assistant, those are just hourly salary with small bonuses. Treat them good. Like my transaction coordinator right now is sitting on a beach, still getting paid, checking email periodically, but I'm very flexible with her. And, if I let her go to the beach today, she's been at the beach all week, whatever, but she's still doing her job. But still at 9 o'clock at night, she'll get on the phone if she has to. So I like salary positions. So everybody's paid a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. I'm watching this Facebook.
Yeah, there's going to be some people that have some questions, and if they're, I know they're listening. We will. Why don't we open up questions here at the end? We'll open up some questions and see if people will type them in. We can get those questions answered. How about an operating agreement? I bring that up because. I've always felt that I've got my operating agreement is like 7 pages long because I get into mission, vision, values, standards and expectations of the team. We do talk about the pay and what that looks like, branding and marketing, that kind of thing. Do you recommend that as well?
Yeah, we have a standards and procedures in part of our ISA. And I'd like to say, I'm not a paperwork guy. I'm not a contract guy. I'm a handshake guy and a hugging guy. However, we do need to protect ourselves. And I don't really necessarily say, oh, you don't get to talk to any of my clients and you can't leave with them and all this crap. I've been through enough buyers agents and teammates to know that whoever creates the relationship is going to close the deal with them. I just say, for the next year, if you're working with anybody from my database, pay me the normal split. But there are things that I do care about. Please drive a nice car if you're going to represent my team. Please know that you will hold 2 open houses a month. Please know that you will be meeting in person 1 or 2 times a month. Please know we have call nights, and these are our things that we do. But if those aren't talked about up front, it's a nightmare. And pay is the most crucial thing to talk about up front, and how pay structures will change and stuff. Because the second a buyer's agent comes to you and says, I want a bigger split, and you say no, the relationship's doomed. So
Right. So
setting
that's
those
why I brought up the
expectations up front,
operating agreement. Yeah.
setting those expectations up front are so important because you can say, look, we agreed before this, right? If you hit this number, then you get this. If you do this, and this is all based on real life experience from the past, and we know this works. That's what I love so much about EXP. And I'm going to go on a rant real quick.
That's okay.
There's people on this call. I know a couple of these people that should be building a team, that need to be building a team. And when I say, listen, the nice thing about our company is we have these amazing 4 pillars, right? We have a cloud-based environment to where Corona time or any other time, we don't skip a beat, right? We're jamming right along. We didn't skip a beat, but we can meet with people. We can have all, expansion teams all across the country, whatever. So that's one of our pillars. But our second pillar that I love is education and lead generation and technology, right? So people that want to start a team are so scared to go, I can't train a team. Well, great. We have 5, 7, 10 classes a day. We'll train the crud out of your team.
Right.
We get together and say, what classes should I watch today? What classes should I watch tomorrow? This is how we handle our education. Now they say, well, I don't have leads. Well, we have KV Core. It's the most robust CRM on the planet, right? It's got landing pages, squeeze pages, dynamic bonded searching, artificial intelligence, behavioral texting. It's mobile friendly. We have tons of training. We have tons of third-party people that'll drive leads to that very inexpensively. So now if somebody says, well, I don't have enough leads. Well, okay, for $500, I can get you 50 leads a month. And a buyer's agent's going to convert 1 or 2 of those. So you do have enough leads, and that's so simple. And we have the support. Like people say, well, I don't know everything about real estate. I'm only kind of new myself. I've only been in 5 or 6 years. Good. We have 500 employees in our world that support your team. So you don't have to worry about that because most agents, they know their brokerage doesn't have the support they need to run a team. Ours does.
Well, also the KV Core, just so you mentioned, because there's a lot of brokerages out there, and it seems to be KV Core is what they're supplying to the agents to use. Interestingly enough, what they're getting, though, they don't understand, unless they really understand the CRMs like we do now because we've used them, they don't realize they're getting a shell version of it. They're getting a version that they can't ad spend on, that they can organically, if they take their time to build an ad themselves and then, which you can do organically, but again, your time is money. So, you can also, then with our company, the XP, we have the KV Core is the full version. I mean, we can actually, there's making it rain. You can get the people who do that, even you don't even spend 500, you can do 250. If you're just starting out, having leads coming in, and you can spend your time as an agent just learning the skill set to convert the leads, to to be able to do a great buyer consultation and presentation, to
It's awesome.
Yeah, stay away from having to sit there organically try to do it yourself. You need a robust system. And, so you think when I talk systems that I've got a high C, I don't. I did what I had to do to learn to be current because, I was out of production for almost 7 years, leading brokerages. And when I got back in, I built my business farming. So now I haven't even gotten into my farming yet. I'm just, working my systems and helping grow agents. And then I'll get back into farm. But my point being is, anybody can learn. It doesn't matter if you're 20 years in the business. We have got to shift with the times. Buyers are starting their search on the internet. If you don't have your website and you don't have a system that's going to be able to handle that lead generation when you do it, you're going to fall behind and be out of business fairly soon, I'm sure. If COVID didn't teach us that, it was a big slap in the face.
It's just we got to be careful when we say that, right? Like if you don't have a website and you're not online, it's not that. It's how
you use it, though. Yeah, thank you for correcting me. You're right. We can have a website that doesn't do anything. But I think aligning yourself with people that are going to help you. We can't even do it all here in this, this hour conversation. Hopefully, people are getting some good nuggets, and we will get to some questions. But just to know that there are a lot of people out there that actually can help walk you through, because now we've been there, we've done the struggling, and learning what's working with our databases, and as we grow our teams, as we bring somebody on, how to onboard them, what their pay should look like, what the operating agreement should look like, and if you're, if they're not thinking about that, like maybe somebody never thought, oh gosh, I need an operating agreement too. Gosh, now they're like, well, what do I do with that? There's, come seek us out to let us help you, because I tell you, I had help for sure. And Mike, you continue to help me all the time. How about marketing now for our team as a team lead? If you're leading a team,
it's a really good time to bring that up. There's potential team leaders that say, I don't want to build a team because I don't want to be a recruiter, right? Because once you build a team, that's your job, is just recruit, fill up that pipeline of agents so they can call on your leads, right? And then there's some that say, I don't want to train somebody for a year, have them sell 5 or 6 houses and go out on their own, because that's painful.
Yeah.
The agent will talk crap about them, bad rumors start, community talks, and things just don't look good as teams fall apart. That's one of the reasons I came to our company, right? So picture this, you're a team leader, you hire an agent. That agent starts getting stock. They start getting a retirement plan, health insurance. They start getting residual income as a form of revenue share. So now your team is a built-in recruiting system. They say, this company is so awesome. We have everything we could ever need. Anything that's ever been broken in real estate, we fixed. So now these agents start recruiting to your team for you, which is epic. Once they do want to spread their wings, I say, Susan, you've done such a great job at Team Bjorkman. It's time for you to spread your wings. Like, let's help build your team. Let's help build your empire, your legacy. We're still financially aligned as long as you stay at the company. So I'm going to help you do that instead of be mad and hurt. Like, for 20 years, every time a teammate left, it hurt so bad.
It does, because you at the same time, you, like you said, you never want to hold anybody back. You want them to do their thing. It's, you invest so much time into training and helping the growth. But that's
they say, I don't want a team anymore. It's too much work. It's too painful. It's too hard. And I say, that's how we fix it. It's okay now when they leave. I up front with my team, I say, I don't expect you to be here forever. I want to help you build your own thing. It takes all this weight off your shoulders. You can breathe freely. You can think clearly. You don't have to wonder at night who's going to leave your team. You don't care, right? As long as you've nurtured that relationship, made them know, like, and trust you, and then you still have that whole I want to continue to help you attitude afterwards, they're going to stay at the company and you're going to be financially aligned forever. That is why it's so important to align yourself with a company like, well, our company, because there's no other company like it. But now I'm like, I don't care if they leave. I don't care. So, because let's be honest, an agent sells 5 homes. Now, all of a sudden, they're like a 16-year-old kid. They know more than you will ever know. They don't need you anymore. They have got real estate all figured out after 5 transactions. It's so funny. In the numbers 5, I've time tested and proven that one too. As soon as they get to 5 sales, they're like, I am a super agent, and then they continue on and say, I'm going to go on my own. And then they get on the treadmill. And then 10 years later, they start building. Oh, it's such a nightmare. So I'm like, don't be afraid to build a team. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter what kind of team, what kind of structure, make the team right for you. And you and I are here to help people with that and see what's right for them in the beginning, in the middle, and the end, right? And that's how you grow and flourish. And it's nice. It's really nice to be able to have a normal life, to make a lot of money, and to have diversification, to have a retirement plan, to have all these things that we deserve as agents, because realistically we are, and we should probably talk about that. We should probably absolutely talk about, if you guys listen to Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant, right? You have on the left side, you're either an employed, or S on the bottom, self-employed, right? That's an agent or an assistant. You're an employee of a team, or you are the team leader, but you're self-employed. On the right side of the quadrant, which is so crucial to know, is, are you a business owner? And then on the bottom right, it's an investor. Right? So our company and a team leader allows you to be a business owner. So if you grow a team, like I take every July off, I take every December off. Like David Golden and I took off to the Caribbean. We went to the BVI last December. We weren't even barely around like in December. But our business grew tremendously because of our company. Like we hired 50 or 60 agents while we were gone. And our business and our paychecks grew. An investor At our company, we buy stock, we are gifted stock, and we're actually an agent owner. So we're on the right side of the cash flow quadrant. So I encourage all agents that don't know what the cash flow quadrant is to learn about it, because this is going to take care of the rest of your future. I talk to agents every day that sell 40, 50 homes a year. They're broke. They owe tons of money in taxes. There's no end in sight. They can't get off the roller coaster. And they're just like, I have to make more money and I have to be so busy because I have to pay taxes from 2017. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the best at taxes, but I'm getting a lot better because of the structure I've built my team in. But the reality is if you're not on the right side of that quadrant, you will never make it in this business. And it sucks for me because it took me my whole life, 30 years to learn it. And finally I got it, right? And now it's working and it's clicking really, really good. And that's why I love coaching agents, is because I want them to bypass the 25 years of crap that I had to go through, and the millions and millions and millions of dollars that I threw away, didn't save, spent the wrong way.
I think that's why a lot of us do this is, and it's interesting. I was talking to an agent the other day, like, well, gosh, are you just recruiting people? No, it's not about, it's about attracting, and whether people ever come over, this conversation today is not about coming over to EXP. I mean, if you want to hear about that and come over, we love you. We'd love to help you, but we help people. We've been helping people way many years prior to even being with EXP. But the nice thing is, again, we have struggled, not knowing what to do, going through some of the growing pains. And I got to tell you, it's a lot better when you can, like, Mike, I haven't done a quarter of what you've done. So, I mean, you've been very influential, in helping with my growth in my own team, my business, which is why I've got a lot of my own team members watching today. I said, pay attention, because he's, very close to us and a very intricate part of helping the growth in all of our businesses. Our model is not really just about recruiting. It's really about building and growing businesses. And it's, when we talk in revenue share, it's revenue. It's people come because they want to grow their businesses to fund a better life for their families. And that is number one, is to help these agents build a better life for their families and grow their businesses. The other stuff is amazing because it comes as a wealth building, and we never got that. I've been 20 years and you've been 30 in any other brokerages I've been with. So it's just nice to know that, your last deal you close is not the last income you will earn in real estate with this model. And so I'm trying to look here to you see my head turning, remember.
Yeah, go ahead and go look. I'll just talk. I'll just say we will have 5 minutes left till our next class. But here's the reality. If you're a team leader and you're not at EXP, you are being financially irresponsible and you're not looking out for your team. And people say, Mike, that's really rude to say, because I'm at Remax or I'm at Coldwell Banker, KW. And I say, if you truly cared about your team, you would give them an opportunity for a humongous iBuyer program, an amazing program for health insurance, mind-blowing stock awards and gifts, and an agent equity program, the ability to get residual and passive income, better training, better technology, better marketing, a better cloud-based environment. And if you don't think your agents deserve all that, you're being selfish and a ding dong. Because if you truly love your agents on your team, or love your team in general with the real estate license, they deserve all that stuff. They should have all that stuff. And it's up to you as a team leader to give them that stuff. And maybe you won't have a retention problem. And maybe you'll have a real relationship. And maybe you can build them up to be something special too. That's what I love about our team. We're not here to put ourselves on pedestals. We want to put everybody in our organization in a legacy position to where they all get what they deserve, which is residual passive income and stock and amazing support at a company with everything you could ever imagine in real estate for the best compensation model on the planet. So to build a team, you need to be at a company that supports a team. That's kind of the way I just feel like we have to end that, because there's not a better place. I've run teams at 3 different companies, my own brokerage, Keller Williams, and Remax for 19 years. And you can't run a team there effectively and efficiently. It doesn't work.
Well, 100% yes, that's very, very true on everything you just said. I think, again, people just don't know what they don't know, and whatever brokerage they're with, I mean, some people, again, they just seek outside coaching. There's lots of ways, ultimately, I think, the high I's, which a lot of team leads are high D, I'm 99D, 99I, you're probably pretty much the same. We don't like to succeed alone. We like, the more people that are winning at a high level, the better. So anybody that's why the collaboration to me, and I know probably you too, was so important, to find people we could align with that are, and not just financially. I mean, financially, again, is just a huge benefit that we are financially aligned, but we also we care about the growth of our businesses and helping others. And, it's ingrained in us. We've done it for years. And so those are the people that we attract. We attract people who are serious about growing their businesses, that also, when I coach and train an agent, I train them to turn and coach somebody else. That's how I teach so they can learn what they're doing and turn and help the next person, because that to me is true come from your heart collaboration. So in building a team, I think we've gotten through a lot of stuff. There's a lot of detail in this kind of thing, but again, if you're just starting out with your admin, your executive assistant, your marketing assistant, maybe bringing on a buyer specialist, knowing the ways to build it by having an operating agreement, so that everything, just like you do a listing presentation or a buyer consultations, you set expectations with your team members so they can know what to expect, not only in pay, but in standards of your team, not only in pay and standards, but in, what's going to happen in marketing for them. How are you as a team lead going to market and help bring leads into them? And then also
Susan, put in the comments the class that we just did a few weeks ago from Real Estate Marketing Show under Agent Mechanics Coaching. Put the team building class in there. I think it was 4 or 5 weeks ago, because it's a much more organized team building class.
Mike, the website is real estate
marketingshow.com.
Real estate marketing
show.com, and click on the Agent Mechanics Coaching.
Okay. All right. Click on Agent Mechanics.
Got it?
Yeah, I just put it in the notes in the comments there. So real estate.
We'll go back later and put the actual class link in there, but you and I have another call in 1 minute. So
we do. So thank you, Mike. I mean, this has been awesome. People who are watching, realestatemarketingshow.com is the Agent Mechanics whole course. All the courses are in there. The team building is in there. The listing presentation's in there. There's all sorts of things in that Agent Mechanics. Yes. So again, this is for the love of real estate. I'm Susan Johnson, and Mike Bjorkman was with me today. We're with EXP, and we really appreciate all of you joining us. We hope we got your questions answered. I was looking over to see how many questions I could see on the feed there. If not, you're welcome. I put my number in there. You can also reach out to Mike, but we are here to help you along the way in your journey of success in real estate. Thanks again, Mike. And yes, we have a leadership call here in like another minute. So we'll get on.
We're late right now. Bye.
Gotta get on. Bye.